Good morning. We will pay attention to the reconciliation of the debtors control with the debtors list today. First of all, we have to look at the debtors control account to determine whether the entries were completed on the correct side of the account. So take into account that the debtors control will increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side because it is an asset. The balance is on the debit side, so that is correct. Bank debtors column in the cash receipts journal. Entries in the cash receipts journal must be recorded in the bank account on the debit side because money was received, and it should be recorded on the credit side of the debtors control because the debtors paid and the account should decrease. Therefore, this amount should be on the credit side. Bad debts reduces the debtors, therefore it should be on the credit side. Bank RD is a check that came back from the bank, so the debtors owe the money to the business again, therefore that entry should be on the debit side. Because they said the bank includes the discount, because in your debtors control column, you add the amount received plus the discount, and in the debtors control column, you show the total. The discount should not be in this account at all. At the end of the exercise, I will explain this discount in detail. Sales returns reduces the debtors, so that one is on the right side. Credit sales increase debtors, and therefore it should be on the debit side. We will change the entries in the debtors control, putting the balances on the right side of the account. So the balance is on the debit side. RD check should be on the debit side because it increases the debt. Sales should be on the debit side because it increases the debt. The money received should go on the credit side, and the 480 and the debtors allowances should go on the credit side. We will indicate the total in the debtors list on the debit side, and then we can see that the two figures are not the same, so the debtors list and the debtors control will have to be adjusted with all the mistakes that were made. No entry has been made for a credit note for 280 issued to M. Roeder in respect of merchandise returned by him. If no entry was recorded, it means that we have to correct the mistake in the debtors control account as well as the debtors list because it was not recorded at all. A credit note will reduce the debtor, so with the debtors allowances figure, we will add the 280 to show that that figure should increase with 280. M. Roeder's account will be credited with 280 to reduce the account because goods were returned. A credit note for 300 was issued to Stein, and it was treated as an invoice in the subsidiary journal. So a mistake was made in the subsidiary journal. Because it was recorded in the wrong journal, it means that we have to correct this mistake in the control account and in the debtors list. It was a credit note, so with debtors allowances, we must show that that figure should increase with 300. And with the sales, we must decrease with 300. In the debtors list, A. Stein's account must decrease with 600. Because the original entry was recorded on the debit side, you first have to record 300 on the credit side to cancel the original entry. Then you have to add another 300 on the credit side to show that the account must reduce with 300. Therefore, if an amount was recorded on the wrong side of an account, you will always adjust it with double the amount on the correct side of the account. The account of B. Berger for 108 Rand was written off in the debtors ledger, but no entry was completed in the subsidiary journal. That indicates that there is no mistake in the debtors ledger because it was already recorded The only mistake will be in the debtors control because it was not completed in the journal. Therefore, the total that was posted to the debtors control is incorrect. The account in the debtors ledger was written off. So that means that you will reduce the account of the debtors with 108 Rand. Bad debt is recorded in the general journal. Therefore, it will go under general journal as journal credits, the 108 Rand. No entry was recorded for a dishonored check previously received from A&L in settlement of his account after 10% discount was allowed. No entry was recorded. That means that we have to correct it in the debtors control account and in the debtors list. We will first pay attention to the calculation. If we look at the calculation, the debt is equal to 100% because that is the amount that the debtor owes. We allowed 10% discount, so we actually only received 90% of the debt. The amount that is given to us is the amount on the check. So that means that is the 90% that we receive. So next to 90%, we must show that it equals 540. So if we want to calculate the discount, the one that I want, 10, over the one that I know, 90, times 540 will give me 60 Rand. So therefore, the discount will be 60 Rand. If we look at this entry, we will show that the debtors owe us 540 Rand more for the entry that must be recorded in the bank. And then we will show in the general journal that the debtor also owe us the 60 Rand for the discount that will be cancelled. In the debtors list, we will show that the debtor's debt will increase with a total of 600 Rand. We've corrected all the mistakes now and will balance the debtors control account. So we will add up the total on the debit side and take the 198,176 and subtract the figures on the credit side, and that will give me a balancing figure of 45628. So my new balance in the debtors control account will be brought down and will be carried over to the next financial year. In the debtors list, we will add up the debit side, add up the credit side, then we will subtract the credit side from the debit side, and that will give me a total of 45628. And that corresponds with the total in the debtors control. So therefore, I know that all the mistakes that we know of was corrected because both these totals are equal. If we look at the following example, this is the two different ways that they can indicate discount. So it's very important that you must read very carefully. The debtors control column has a total of 1,200. Discount allowed was 200. So how much did we actually receive? 1,000 Rand. So I will debit the bank with 1,000, debit discount with 200, and credit debtors control with 1,200. Therefore, if they tell you that they've taken the amount out of the debtors control column, it means that that figure includes the amount and the discount. Then the discount will not be added to the figure because it's already included in the debtors control column. If they give me the total amount received as 1,200, it means that I will show under bank 1,200. Then they say we allow 200 Rand discount. Therefore, I must add the two figures together and say that the debtors control must reduce with 1,400. In this case, I didn't give the debtors control figure, I gave you the bank figure, and if the bank figure and the discount figure is given, it means that you have to add to work out what is the debtors control amount. If the debtors control column figure is given, then it means already includes the discount. So it's very important to read here and ensure that you don't make a mistake with the calculation. When the amount was obtained from the debtors control column, the discount is already included in the figure because we add the bank figure and the discount allowed figure to obtain the debtors control figure. When the figure was not obtained from the debtors control, so if they tell you it was the amount that was received, then it means that the discount must be added, because then the 1,200 is given as amount received. You have to add the discount to see that the debtors must decrease with 1,400. What did we learn today? If we made a mistake in the subsidiary journal, the mistake must be corrected in the control account and in the list of debtors. If the total in the debtors column in the journal is wrong, the mistake will only be corrected in the control account because there was no mistakes in the journal, so the entries were posted correctly to the debtors accounts. If the mistake was made in the individual account of the debtor, it will only be corrected in the debtors list and in the debtors ledger because there is no mistake in the debtors control. When all the entries in the control account is provided, you must add or subtract the figure from the amount that was given to determine what the correct amount should have been if there was no mistakes in the subsidiary journal. Discount allowed must not be added to the amount in the cash receipts journal if they tell you that the figure obtained was obtained from the debtors control column.